Hey everyone, this is Tim from Cerna Solutions, and I'm just going to take a few minutes to show you just one of our products for ServiceNow called TrackMeet. And for those of you that don't already know, TrackMeet is a meeting application within ServiceNow that allows teams to take advantage of their ServiceNow environment as that single system of record, but it also adds the functionality for collaboration and decision making and even task management that will help you to keep your meetings focused and really, more importantly, productive. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the TrackMeet module within my ServiceNow instance. And because I'm explaining this process to you step by step, I've made another video that you might want to check out where I create and start a meeting in less than 2 minutes, just to drive home the point that it's really very easy to use. But because I'm explaining this step by step as I go along, this video may not properly showcase how exactly how quick this process is. First thing I'll do is I'll create this meeting. As you can see, I'm already pretty much on that screen. I'm going to name this our Change Advisory Board Monday meeting. And the Change Advisory Board is really just one application for TrackMeet. It's actually one of the more popular applications for it. But anyone that's doing a daily scrum, the SDLC meetings, anything that where daily sprint planning where people are coming together and really just using these ServiceNow records and need to work together on those and make decisions on those, then this is really a great way for you to do that. And I'm going to schedule the start time for, well, just for the purposes of this meeting, I'm going to make it for right now. Normally you can schedule that for any time you'd like. I'm going to have this meeting end in 1 hour. Now I have the option to repeat this meeting. If this is going to be a regular meeting that occurs within your organization, you, instead of creating this meeting every single time, you can actually just go ahead and set frequency for this meeting. I'm going to set this for every week. If I want to end this meeting at the end of 2016 or so, I have the option to do that. We'll just pretend that I need to do that. And it will send me a reminder to prepare my agenda. I'm going to say a full day beforehand. I want people to come prepared to these meetings, but I also have the option for 1 hour, or even if no reminder at all. So let's set it for a day before. I also have the option to set this as an offline meeting. I'm not going to do that right now, but what that's used for is international teams. If you have a team, say you've got a member in Australia or a member in Japan that needs to be contributing to these meetings, but they're not always going to be available at the same business hours that you're available. Instead of having your meeting at 2 a.m. for somebody, you can set this as an offline meeting. And what you can do then is create the agenda, create the polls that need to be taken for this decision-making process, and then just send it out to your team. And then when they are available to check in and to make those contributions, they're able to do so without having to, like I said, come in the middle of the night and try to something that's way out of their business schedule. And so the description of these meetings, Monday get together for change items. I'll go ahead and submit that. As you can see, this is a list of all of our meetings. I've got the CAB meeting right at the top here. I'm going to open that up so I can start actually adding on to this meeting. So first thing I want to do is I want to set the agenda. And what I could do is I could click this button here. And what it will do is it will bring me to the table, and I can actually start pulling up those records individually that way if I know how to do that. Actually, my more favorite way of doing that, my preferred method, is to actually go into the records that I want to add and just select them and add it that way. In this case, I'm just going to go over to the open change records, and I'm just going to look for whatever's been requested. And I'm going to add all of these to our meeting. So add to TrackMeet meeting. It's going to ask me what meeting I want to do. I'll just go ahead and pull up my meeting, add it to the agenda, and it's there. And then I have a link at the top, 3 items added to the meeting, view meeting. Click on that, I'm back in my meeting. So I scroll down and my agenda is already set. And if I want to add anything else, I can do that from here. If I want to add, say, perhaps a non-ServiceNow record, I can actually create a record that way as well. If I come down to the meeting attendees, I want to go ahead and add that. Again, I can come into this new button here, and if I know I want to invite Phil to my meeting, and he is required to come, I'll go ahead and submit that. Because he's on the meeting there. And again, another easy way to do that would be for me to just go ahead and click on this record, and if I just know the person's name, go ahead and pull that up. Required. I'm going to say yes. All right. And that's pretty much all I need to do to get this meeting set. Now, since this meeting is happening right now, when I hit notify attendees, they should all get a notification that they need to be there at the moment. But normally what would happen is they're going to get an invite like you would normally see for a meeting, letting them know what's on the agenda, letting them know what time they need to be there, essentially so that they can be completely ready to join this meeting. So let me head back over to the meeting. And since it's time to go ahead and get started, I'm just going to go ahead and open this meeting. Now, something I want to point out, what's going to make TrackMeet different than other meeting applications like GoToMeeting or WebEx is that, for those applications, their core function is to host a meeting. And for the most part, they do that one function just fine. TrackMeet's core function, on the other hand, is to allow teams to collectively manage ServiceNow records and create actionable results. So these aren't really meant to be competing products for those other applications. It's just that this does something completely different. And that's why it's important to note that this program was designed from the ground up with ServiceNow and ServiceNow customers in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what these meetings look like. So this is the host view right now. I'm going to switch over to a double view so you can see what I'm seeing as well as what an attendee is seeing. Oh, and as you can see, Phil Kite has just joined the meeting on the side here. I'll go over roll call and what that means in just a second. Okay, so right now you should be able to see the dual view. This is Eileen is on the, Ali is on the attendee side. I'm on the host view, so you should see that I can actually modify what everyone sees here. I can control what they are able to see on their screen. They don't control on their end. Now this is, again, different than the share screen function that you would get on, say, GoToMeeting, because there is still a level of interactivity, still a level of collaboration. So on here, I'm going to go ahead and put some notes in here, just letting everyone know meeting will start in 5 minutes. And then those notes will be seen not only just by everyone right now, but these notes are going to be added to the record at the end of the call. So at the very end, everything's going to come together in a single record that will be sent and shared with any stakeholders for the meetings, any managers, anyone that requires documentation of what happens during these meetings will be sent a record of what happens. So right now, either Ali can respond, and Phil, if you want to go ahead and add a note in here too, just so that we can show the interactivity. Phil, as I mentioned, he hopped on the meeting. Why don't you go ahead and say hi, Phil?
Hi, Tim. Hi, everybody.
Now, Phil is all the way in the UK. He's agreed to help me out with this. Again, just to show you beyond just my own ability to type something in one screen and you see it pop on the other side, he's going to be interacting with our meeting with us to help us out. Just to give you an idea in the more full sense of what it's like to be collaborating with someone from a distance during these types of meetings. Okay. So what I'll do right now is I'm going to jump down over to roll call. And so I've got Ali, I've got Phil, I've got myself. And if someone else ends up joining this meeting that we weren't anticipating, I can go ahead and just add them to the meeting. Just, picking someone at random. And now a record has been created that that person has joined our meeting as well. And again, if someone didn't show up to the meeting, you can always check them off. It's going to be important to see if a meeting had occurred without someone actually being there. So I'm going to go ahead and skip down over to our first record that we had created. And so without really going into the record itself, it's not as important as to what this record is saying. I just want to give you an example of how we're going to interact with this. Let's pretend that in this situation, the priority was set to critical. We wanted to be, mostly discussing high critical items during this meeting, but then it turned out that someone had mentioned that this was a pretty low priority item and that we don't need to be talking about that right now. What I can do is, along with, notes that can be created if there's an official note taker, or if I want to be adding notes as the host, anything that we think needs to be added to this record, we can add that there. But I can also go ahead and create a task for our team as well. So let's say I want Phil change record to low priority. And so this will create the task, it will set it to open, and we can actually see what the status is of that task in the meeting, and this will update itself as that task goes and gets changed as well. One way that Phil can most likely be doing that is if we're still having this conversation now, he can actually open up this view record button. And instead of having to switch screens and leave the meeting, he can still be a part of what we're doing and open up that record for everyone to see. Or I guess not for everyone to see, it would be on his own end. But it would be opening up that record while we're still interacting with this meeting. And I'm just going to close this up and let him go ahead and make those changes if he wants to go ahead and do that. So I'll move on to another item. Actually, before I do that, I see that Phil's already changed the task to close to complete. And if I actually scroll up to the item itself, yeah, I can actually see before I even had a chance to move on, Phil has not only closed the task, but he actually made the change to the record in real time with this meeting. That's a great example of us being able to interact with these items in real time and actually collaborate together on these records. So here we have a change item that we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to take a poll on this. So there's a number of options that we have pre-built into TrackMeet. There's also a way for you to customize these answers as well. So if you have a very specific way that you like to be running meetings or just a normal type of vote that you would be doing, you can absolutely create that into your own personal version of TrackMeet. In this case, I'm just going to do a simple yes, no, maybe for this poll. Now, as you can see on the attendee view on this side, the poll hasn't started yet. There's no active poll, and once I create this poll, all of the attendee can see is the yes, no, maybe. And if they go ahead and vote on that, and I'll go ahead and vote no. As the host, I can see what the votes are. And it looks like Phil voted maybe. I can see what the votes are, but the attendees can't yet. And that was actually a specific feature that we were, I don't want to say asked to include, but something that we noticed was necessary during meetings like this, where we'll see a little bit of groupthink. As one person raises their hands, a lot of other people want to be seen voting with that person, or they don't want to be seen voting against the rest of the group. So there is really no anonymity in that type of situation. Right now, we're letting people vote what they think they absolutely need to be voting, and it will add a real true sense of the voting process into the structure. And again, this is something that will be recorded for the end of the meeting recap. And now what I can do before I end the poll, I can actually show the results to everyone. As you can see here, now everyone can see their results. And if I end the poll immediately, no one has a chance to change their vote. Now we all know what everyone voted. Well, it doesn't show everyone's names right now. It's not built that way. And I don't think we just have it in the settings for it to do that. But now this poll is closed. We all know how everyone voted, and we can move on to the next item. So instead of moving on to this item here, since we've mostly shown those functions, something else I can do just so that everyone can see is I can create a new item during the meeting. If something comes up, if someone says, we have something that we need to discuss, I can go ahead and create that item here. So if I go ahead and create the new agenda item, turns out people say that Mondays don't work. So we'll just put cab meeting time change. And I'll save that. And under description, I'll go ahead and say Monday's not working anymore. So we can go ahead and add notes again if we decide to do that. For right now, we can always just talk on the phone and say what time works for everyone else without having to put the conversation down in record or without creating a poll. We just need to go ahead and just decide what time works better. And in this case, I'll go ahead and assign Phil to update meeting time to Tuesdays, just as an example. And now Phil has another task that he can go ahead and do, and it's on record that we've done that. Let me go down to the meeting recap. So it'll show myself as the organizer, what were the times, what was the point of this meeting, everyone that was in attendance. And then each item, it'll show us what happened during this meeting. It shows us the task that Phil had worked on, the fact that it was closed. It shows us the poll that we took on that one task, and it just shows, again, any additional items that we created for this meeting. And once everything is done, I just go ahead and email the recap to everyone, and that's pretty much it. So this concludes really my demo of TrackMeet. Feel free to contact us using the information on the screen. I will also put some links down below with our information that you can use to get in touch with us. If you would like a more in-depth demo of what TrackMeet can do, or any of our other Cerna products for ServiceNow, we would love to have a chance to meet with you and talk with your team about what we can do to make ServiceNow work even better for your organization. So thank you again for taking the time to check out this video. Hopefully we have a chance to speak again soon, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.